It's Song Talk Radio with Michael, Neel, Phil, and the gang.
Good evening, good day, good morning, and welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. Makes sense. We share tips, tools, techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. That's the theory. And in practice, I think it has proven to be the case as well. I'm your host, Mike Proudfoot, and with me are the members of the Song Talk Radio Action Team, my co-hosts this evening, Phil Emery. How are you, Phil?
I am okay today.
We'll get to, actually, you're not. You're just recovering. We'll get to why in a second.
We'll get to why in a bit, yes.
Yeah. Neel, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's Neel Modi, in case you're new to this.
That's right.
And so during the show, sorry, what?
Respect my authority.
During the show, please feel free to send your comments and questions to @SongTalkRadio on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or email us at feedback@songtalk.ca. And we will share your emails with our audience. We love getting any kind of comments. I mean, we prefer the positive ones, and we love hearing about the music that you're working on. Lately, a lot of you have been sending us your songs, which is great. Thank you. Please keep doing that. Tonight, we have ourselves, so we'll be talking about what we're up to, what's new in music, and some songwriting tips, as always. But back to poor, sick Phil, but you're sick for a good reason, right?
Yes, well, I managed to get my my AstraZeneca shot on Monday morning.
The Aztec camera?
The Aztec camera. I wish, because, man, that guy is amazing. Oblivious and Still on Fire. Great song.
Roddy Frame?
Yes.
That's his name.
And he shreds on an acoustic guitar. When you hear him play solo stuff, he's an amazing guitarist. It's amazing.
I did not know that.
Anyways, AstraZeneca, unfortunately, it won't deal with us getting distracted, but it does help with the COVID-19 virus. And I got the AstraZeneca yesterday morning at 10, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel like the need.
Was the injection site sore? That was when I got the shot. That's what
nothing.
It was.
I couldn't even feel it. I couldn't even feel it in my shoulder. And even when the nurse was going to put the bandage on, she was going, "Where is it?" So I felt fine, and so I got home and I was like, "Wow, this is perfect." And then I started feeling a little bit rough over the next day. And then by last night, it was like having the full-on flu. I had fevers and shaking and chills and headaches. And it's interesting because I haven't gone anywhere. And anytime I've gone anywhere, I've worn a mask. I haven't actually even had a cold since this whole thing began. So I kind of forgot what it was like to be sick, and it's not good. So I guess it means that it's working. So
that's exactly
it means you actually did get the shot.
Well, I was a bit worried, actually.
Yeah.
Did they miss?
Well, yeah. And then, so I'm still feeling a bit rough today. I think by tomorrow I should be okay. But
So I'm glad you're on the road to recovery.
Yeah, no, I went to bed very early last night.
Yeah. Nothing like rest.
Yeah, that's a cure-all for everything.
Everything.
Even keeps you young, apparently.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, Neel, you were talking that you have, you saying you wanted to talk about a struggle you're having. Was that with the virtual instruments management, or is that something else? Since we're dealing with the conflict on the show right now.
We got struggles all over the place. Where would you like me to start?
Oh, dear.
Well, let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Yeah,
are you working on something that's giving you a problem, or what's
my latest project, I may have mentioned on the show, I'm trying to do like a mixture of like electronic and orchestral music, right? And as a way into this project, I contacted a friend of mine, Kira Braun, who sang on a couple of songs of mine. She's a classically trained singer, sings opera. I saw her play the lead in Carmen a few years ago and stuff, and really, really talented singer. And turns out she's also a poet. And but not a songwriter as such, right? So
Right.
I reached out to her and I said, look, I'm trying to think about this project. Would you be interested in doing the vocals for it? Because it's supposed to be orchestral. And she said yes. And I said, I would really love it if you shared some of your poetry and I could base the songs on the lyrics off of that. And she said, sure. She has a website with all her poems. A lot of them very emotionally wrought and kind of go to, sort of dark places and stuff like that. So really, really compelling stuff that I thought would be great to make lyrics out of. But the approach that I wanted to take musically ended up being a bit of a conflict with the lyrical approach, only because I wanted to take a very non-structured approach to this and kind of have a meandering musical line through, to make it, however long the song is going to be or whatever. Like I just didn't want like verse, chorus structure. I wanted to sort of play around with a more abstract structure. But the couple of poems that I tried of hers, they're very structured. And so I can't help going, well, if this is a repeated, verse in the, or sort of chorus type thing in the poem, how do I not repeat the same music for that? Because that's your inclination, is to go, well, there's a structure to the lyric that I'm working with. So how do I break out of that to do it? And if I do it, it's just going to feel forced and it's just going to feel contrived and weird. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to do that.
That's a good challenge to have, to try to be freer. Usually people are trying to corral all these strands into something that's coherent and organized and structural, and your problem is the opposite.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a feeling the approach that I need is to just sit down with the words and write melodies, and very different melodies, and then I can go, and then that's going to give me different structure of different chord patterns, different things underneath it. But I need to go and I need to fight against playing the same melody for the same, couplet line or, that sort of thing. That's going to be a challenge in and of itself, I think.
I don't know if this will help, but when writing melodies, like trying to come up with a variety of melodies on around the same musical, so like vocal melodies over a musical bed, when I get stuck on the same ones, I try to make it hard to listen to it, meaning I'll, like play it through headphones, but put the headphones like further away. I find barely hearing music in another room or singing along to music I'm hearing for the first time helps come up with vocal line. Like it just makes it a bit freer. When you have headphones on and you're hearing the music really clearly, it seems to make you follow the road a bit more faithfully. And if you're trying not to, barely hear your music and just try melodies with it that way, and like record those melodies on your phone and then stitch them together later, perhaps.
That's an interesting idea. I think I might.
That's a great idea.
Like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
and anything that puts you out of your comfort zone or what you're used to, I think is good.
Yeah, like you've got a thread of it because it's there, so you're not like and so you know how long it is and when there are changes, but you don't really have that. You don't really have the melody, the tune so clear to you, so you don't feel self-conscious about going further astray. Anyway, I find that really helpful in writing vocal.
That's a great idea.
Very good.
I never thought about it. Another way of looking at it is that I think, especially when you come from a pop song structure background, is you tend to write melodies that are usually 8 bars long. That's usually those sections. So try to write a melody that actually doesn't resolve for 16 bars or 20 bars or something like that. And that will kind of force you, because, we're normally, we go da 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 da. We're sort of used to those kind of very tight formations, where if you look at the melody as a much longer expression, then that might kind of free you up in a bit, in a few ways.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And dare I say, make it 17, make it odd lengths, because then you're not forced to wrap things up in a predictable pattern, especially if you're dealing with something that's a little, you're not as concerned about consistent structural integrity throughout the whole thing.
I guess there has to be some degree of repetition, or else it's just a little too crazy. But
well, I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody doesn't repeat.
I guess it doesn't.
Simple Math. It's a Manchester Orchestra. Paranoid Android. I mean, there's refrains.
Yeah.
Like the solo kind of repeats. Yeah. But for the most part, it doesn't.
True. Okay.
It's true. And a lot of drum and bass stuff, when you think about drum and bass, it actually doesn't repeat at all. It's electronic style. They have sort of a motif that they work with, but it's constant change all the way through. So,
okay.
I don't even know if Freebird just starts slow and keeps going. I mean, it has a lot of guitar solo in it, but I don't think it repeats either. Offhand, I could be wrong on that one.
Yeah.
So
there's an idea for a theme show, guys.
What?
Songs that don't repeat.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Structure-free songs.
Phil, how's your drums working out?
Well, it's been interesting.
Your cheap electronic drums.
My cheap Electrums by Donner, by Donner Music, and they seem to be very resistant to. There's a couple of buttons that actually don't work. You press them and nothing happens.
Seems wrong.
And that seems kind of wrong. And I wasn't upset that it happened, because you can get, lemons from when you buy Apple stuff. You can, it doesn't mean it's bad quality. It just, I happen to get a bad one.
You're being too forgiving, I think. But sorry.
But I like to be reasonable, But so they keep on. So I send them an email. And they say, "Oh, we'll press this," and the kit button allows you to move between drum kits. And I say, "Yes, I know. It doesn't do anything." And they say, "Well, we have to." And it's just like they keep on sending me back the stuff that was in the manual. And I'm saying, "I know that it doesn't work. These buttons do not work." And I'm not sure why. Like at this point, I'm thinking, just send a new sound unit, because the sound unit is useless without all the other stuff. So it's not like you can plug other things into the sound unit, right? I even have the box still, and I could send the old one back. But it's been strange, and you have to.
Did you like record yourself on your phone video, pressing the button and nothing happens, and you can show them?
I did, yeah.
Video? You did,
yeah. But it's been very strange.
Customer service leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, and I think, if you get a unit that works fine, then it's not an issue. It's just I happen to have a bum unit, and
before you bought it, you said it was well reviewed on Amazon or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're not the greatest ones, but I mean, the actual quality of the hardware is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I mean, for that amount of money, it's definitely worthwhile.
Now, they're aware that you host a podcast about music and will be talking about their shoddy products every week.
Well,
that doesn't seem like good business practice.
Good PR.
No, but I make a point of, whenever I'm doing anything in the music industry, of not saying that, because for one thing, you don't want to be that "do you know who I am" kind of person.
I'm not suggesting that Song Talk carries much weight. Just saying, it is a microphone of a sort.
That is, yeah.
It was like that Rick Beato was great at the rants. He's got that one video on YouTube. Apple is great if you like crap. Poor Apple, a new one in that video. It was not.
What is he referring to? The entire product line,
or was entire thing. I watched it a while back. I don't remember exactly what he said.
Oh, okay.
He just hated everything Apple.
Whereas I like to I want to make sure that I get if I'm going to comment on it, I want to get the experience that an average person, would get.
Yeah, so, and you're being very fair about it. And fortunately, you have a bit more electronic and sort of technical skills too. So you probably figured out exactly what is wrong with it.
Yeah,
and you just need to get a hold of these people.
And if they do refuse to fix it, then I will take it apart and see if I mean, it's all surface mount stuff, so that's a little bit more fidgety to fix. But sometimes you can I mean, sometimes there'll be a bad solder joint and it's really, really obvious. Especially with some of this cheap stuff. They're manufacturing them so fast that sometimes it's just a bad solder joint. And you look at it and go, okay, so that might be it. But, so that's my drum update, but it's still, it does make noise when you hit it, and it's still kind of fun.
Most things do.
Well, that is true, actually.
Yeah, and that's cool because you actually have some expertise in that area, Phil, with soldering and electronics and
it's fun.
Guitars and everything. So that's good.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it.
Now, Neel, you were doing some research for us on a show that we were going to do down the road.
Yeah,
but we didn't quite understand what it was about NFTs,
non-fungible tokens.
And do you know a bit more about what the hell those things are? Because we were interested because Sons of Leon released an album that you could buy only through NFTs.
Kings of Leon, sorry. Yeah, so it's actually our episode next week. We're bringing back Eric Alper, who we had on the podcast a couple years ago, I think, or last year maybe, before times, and he's going to be talking a little bit more about NFTs or non-fungible tokens. And I'm subscribed to this website. We actually looked at them before. Where'd it go now? The Disc Makers blog. When we did our songwriting do's and don'ts episode a while back, it was the same blog, and they had a little video and a little article about can you sell your music as an NFT, and it was kind of the same thing. He was talking about Kings of Leon, how they did it and everything like that, and the whole but the thing that he said in the video that made a little bit more sense to me is that when we talk about like artwork, like there's one original Mona Lisa, and that has value because it's the one original. There's one original Starry Night, and that has value, because et cetera, et cetera.
Right. The rarity is what gives it value.
Yeah, and the fact that it's rare and then it's unique. Now, when it comes to digital assets, they are unique in the sense that someone created it, but if you make copy after copy after copy, ostensibly it's the same quality, it's the same. It's literally a copy that's of the same value, like from a material sense. So what the NFT does is it ascribes a value to the original creation of that thing, whatever it is, right? So his attitude towards the music thing was that if you are in a band or you're an artist who's really, really popular, then you can probably get away with selling your album as an NFT or selling some other digital asset of yours as an NFT, because you'll have legions of fans, of which some are super fans who will pay up for that privilege, because essentially all it is just the ability for me, if I were to buy a digital asset, an NFT, that I could say that I'm the owner of it. And as well, it could be seen as an investment, because someone else may want that digital asset ownership for more. It doesn't mean that you have any control over that asset, because whoever created it or whoever distributed it still has control over how it's distributed and where it goes and who has access to it and who can download it and all that sort of stuff. But really, it's just the token part of it, I think, is just the ledger in the blockchain, the ledger line.
So it's a digitally verified thing that makes the rarity of it is digitally verified.
Yes.
Or guaranteed or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm a bit closer to understanding it, but not understanding the point yet.
Yeah, and hopefully when Eric comes on the show next week, he can illuminate some of that. But again, I think the other thing he said in the Disc Makers blog was that a lot of the people buying NFTs are people who are already in the cryptocurrency space, so they already made their money on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Or another cryptocurrency, so they feel a little more free maybe to spend that cryptocurrency on an NFT. It's not quote unquote real money, although they'll probably contest that it is.
Right, because they're already fine, because they're working in a digital world or virtual world anyway.
Yeah.
I'm one of those old-fashioned Luddites who want tangible assets.
Yeah. So it's not like you're selling the rights to your song, because you can sell like Bob Dylan sold his catalog.
Yeah.
So he sold the
Paul
rights.
Simon recently.
Yeah.
Yes, so he actually sold the rights to their songs, which means if their songs get played or covered, they don't get any more money for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not an NFT is not that.
Is not that.
No. So those are totally separate
I
things.
think the non-fungible token, the word token, is very telling, because it's a token. It's not. I'm hesitant to say it's not real, because it is, because people are doing it, but it is literally just the statement of ownership.
Right, it's like a certificate of
say
sorts,
I have
perhaps.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we'll know much more after talking to Eric next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
That's our hope.
It's similar to the, I don't know if you guys saw that YouTube about the A440 versus A32.
Right.
The one YouTuber was talking about how the International Standards Organization identified or prescribed A equals 440 as our standard tuning for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one we should be using. And he actually showed the webpage where you can go to the International Standards Association and buy that standard for like 37 francs or French euros or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And even he could be like, I don't know what that means. If you you can buy A equals 440 for like $50.
You get a tuning fork?
Yeah, I don't know if you get I don't know if you get a tuning. I don't know what you get for that, but you claim that you own that standard. And it's kind of cool.
I mean, unless you're just licensing it or something.
No, I don't think you have the ability to do anything with it. You can't. No, I don't think you have the ability to change it and say now we should be at.
I'm going to make the standard.
We're going to make it at 456
429.
and drive all the singers crazy. So yeah, this is very like it's kind of an idea thing. It's not something you can hold in your hand. It's like it's very elusive that way and kind of abstract in some ways. But yeah.
Well, I would like to put it out there that I am very open to selling my tokens, fungible or non-fungible,
or otherwise.
Even your subway tokens,
shoes, whatever I got. So I'm very open to selling that for any kind of monetary value. So just write us at feedback@songtalk.ca, and I'll sell you whatever I have. Mm-hmm. My sense of well-being, my sense of self.
I like the moose painting behind you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of Heather's students. Nice. I have a songwriting thing, actually.
Yes.
Interesting enough. So
This is the proper place for it.
Well, thank you. I normally write fairly short songs, the classic, verse, chorus, bridge, end. So I was working on a song, and I'm fairly far on. And actually, this was a song I played Neel back when we first met, way back when. I think it was a song. Do you remember when we were going up to Classic Albums Live Supertramp up north of Toronto? Mm-hmm. It was one of the songs I played you.
Okay.
In the cars. So it's, I'm trying to get all these songs actually recorded. So, I finally finished off the lyrics, and so I recorded them, and I sent a rough mix to my to Dave Miner and Mike McInnes and a couple of friends of mine, and they said, "Oh, it's good, but it's it's a little long." And I went, "Oh, really? I didn't really kind of notice that. I guess because I've been listening and working on it for so long." But it's a 6-minute song.
Blasphemy.
Well, I know for me, and now the last minute is almost kind of more of a jam, sort of an atmospheric jam. So I don't really kind of count that. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting idea about song length. So there's a thing in Cubase where you have a track, they call it a ranger track. And you can sort of mark songs as this is the chorus, this is the verse, this is the second verse.
Yeah.
And it's actually very handy when you're mixing and working on the track that you can sort of see visually where you are within the track, so that you know that you're at that you're in the middle of a chorus or, you know, the verse. It's very helpful. But it also allows you to rearrange your song really easily, because you can say, play part A 4 times, play part B 2 times, play part A 1 time, and you can go back and forth. So I was kind of playing around with that, but trying to see if I could make it shorter. And there's not a lot of places where I could make it shorter. So it's an interesting idea if a song is being too long.
Is it repetitive? Is that what they were responding to?
I don't think so. It's kind of 2 verses, although each verse has 2 parts to it. It's a mid-tempo song, so it's like 96 BPM, which makes it longer. So it's like 2 verses, 2 choruses, and then there are 2 bridges. And then a third short verses. Yeah.
Blasphemy again.
I know it's it's an interesting idea.
Are the bridges
but
different, or are they the same
they're
piece?
different, because there's actually kind of a narrative line that goes through this in a way that a lot of my stuff doesn't have that narrative line. So this does have a narrative line. So trying to take it off. I'll send it to you guys too and see what you think.
Yeah, I'd be really interested.
I'm curious to hear that. I do find it interesting that it seems like it didn't bother you until those guys pointed out that it may be a little bit long. So that's kind of telling.
But that could just be, you know, everybody thinks their child is beautiful.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I think a lot of songwriters' songs are too long. And that they don't realize because they're still working it out or for whatever reason. But I noticed that at the meetups, that songs are great, but sometimes they just go on a bit. It depends on the genre too. I mean,
it does. I mean,
if you're doing like Southern rock, there's plenty of room for solos and extended bits, or story songs are good long. But a pop song tends to need to be under 4 minutes. 3:30 would be great.
You were talking about the Supertramp classic albums live that we went to when you shared the song with me so many years ago. And
that was a long time ago.
and the performance we saw that night was Classic Albums Live doing Breakfast in America, which was fantastic. But that album, which is full of like little 3-4 minute, you know, pop gems, the last track on it, Visions, Child of Visions, I think. It's like, it's like 8 minutes long, and it's got like 5 minutes of that is like a really, really amazing piano solo. And it's just, and it's the same groove. It's not a progressive rock song in the sense of like really drastic changes and orchestral suite type of thing, but it works, and it's a really, really long song. But a good chunk of it is piano solo, I think.
Right, that does it. I was listening to the other, Crime of the Century. I haven't listened to that in probably 30 years. They are a really funky band. Like, the grooves in that are really tight.
Oh, yeah. My
it's
father...
funny because they seem so English and white to be so funky.
My father bought me that album when I was a kid because he said because it looked weird. So, and I had never heard of this band.
This looks
before,
weird,
right?
son. You'll like it.
Well, I'd never heard of the band before, right? Because this was before they had any kind of radio play at all.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool being able to go to just going to school and saying, "This is a band called Supertramp. You wouldn't know them. They're very new."
The first time I heard that album, I was hitchhiking, and I got picked up by a guy driving a Gremlin, which was a flat-backed kind of hatchback thing, and the guy had 2 like stereo speakers, not car speakers, but actually house speakers, big ones in the back of his Gremlin. And so he was, "Oh, you're going to hear this." And I think the first song is School, and there's a moment where a kid screams, and it really kicks in, and it's like, oh my God, it just sounded fantastic.
Wow. Wow, where were you?
The back of a Gremlin can handle really, really tall speakers.
Was that the GMC one?
An AMC.
AMC.
There's a Pacer as well.
The Pacer. That was my friend had a Pacer.
Which was like
and
a fishbowl. Yeah, and there was one other car they had. They had three of them. There was one more that was sort of like their sports car.
Yeah,
but yeah, it didn't last.
They were very. Where were you hitchhiking to?
Just home. From downtown. I lived kind of in a farm community outside of town. So,
I was.
It's all now suburbs, so it doesn't matter.
I was listening to CBC. Randy Bachman's show on the weekend, and
Vinyl Tap, yeah.
They were playing songs about dances. That was the theme of their show, and
like the locomotion, or that kind of thing. Okay,
and it was interesting because I was listening to a song, and we at the meetup, and even between us, people will play a song, we'll go, oh, well, that's really interesting, but your use of the pronoun made it a bit kind of confusing. And, we get very kind of into the details and the fidgety bits. And they played a song by James Brown called Mashed Potato Popcorn. Mashed potato popcorn. And basically the lyrics were mashed potato popcorn. And that was it. That was the whole song. Now, it was an amazing
but he had a
piece
whole
of song.
just there was please, right?
Yeah.
Please. That was it for the lyrics. So
but he did mashed potatoes popcorn. He did it with such conviction that actually you didn't mind it. So it does show that sometimes you don't have to be super finicky with all this stuff as long as it comes across well.
I'm getting the feeling, Phil, that wasn't the vaccine that got you sick, but it was the mashed potatoes and popcorn. That can't be good for you. There's no way.
That combination of mashed potatoes and popcorn doesn't sound good for your stomach.
Not good if you're trying to get off of carbs, that's for sure.
No, it's a very carb-heavy song. Neil, do you have any songwriting tips for for today?
Songwriting tips?
Yeah, that was kind of a nice one from Phil.
Yeah,
I gave one earlier about the. Yeah.
You kind of put me
we could have worked this out ahead of time, but
Michael, what have you been?
Spontaneity.
Yeah, what grievances you have these days? I'm all about the grievances.
What
tonight.
Grievances? Songwriting wise, I've got like 3 or 4 bubbling around. Well, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like a couple that are kind of sketched out. I just want to record, and I've got a couple more I'm in the process of writing. So I'm in a good state that way. And there's something I want to ask you. I was listening to this band. Now, when you think of bands with great harmonies, who do you think of?
Beatles,
the Beach Boys, the Eagles,
Eagles, yeah.
But this band, I was listening to them again. They have tons of hits, and I kind of didn't realize how great their harmonies are. The Hollies.
Yes.
Go and check out, and even the early stuff, like there's a Carousel and Bus Stop, and like they just have 3-part harmony, and they're really interesting. So I was listening to it with someone who has much better ears than I, and she was going, "Oh, he's doing a 9th, and he's done this," but they have really like just incredible harmonies in a way that other like earlier songs of theirs. You go, okay, I can see where they're nicking from the Beatles or the Beach Boys, but soon they get their own sound, and it's just fantastic. So if you're thinking of putting together harmony pieces for your song, do yourself a favor and listen to the Hollies. There's some great tracks. So
I was also
that's what I've been doing, writing songs and not writing harmonies as good as the Hollies.
We started listening to the Bee Gees again, and of course, the Bee Gees started, I think the first time they were on Australian television, I think they were like 10 or 12.
I can tell you a lot about the Bee Gees because I just watched a documentary on them.
And they're amazing. Their stuff is so good.
Yeah, they were English and they moved to Australia, and they were on a kids show. So they were like when they were 14 or something.
Oh, really? Yeah,
because they're an older brother and 2 twins. And they were professional musicians from when they were like 14 and 15.
Where can we see this documentary? Is it streaming?
On, I better get a kickback from this. Amazon Prime has tons and tons of music documentaries. Some of them are fantastic. Some of them are really cheap, but you can tell kind of as soon as you get into it, okay, this isn't done well. They have one on Tom Petty. It's by Peter Bogdanovich, who's like a really well-known film director. It's about 3 hours plus long, and it is fantastic. It's just, aside from being biographical, it also seems to be a lot richer than most music documentaries. The Bee Gees one has a lot of interesting information about them and some really kind of incredible footage, as does the Hollies documentary I watched. But yeah, the Bee Gees, and then they bounced around. They had hits in tons, like every decade since the '60s. And then at one point, I forget what song it was, they discovered their falsetto with that weird kind of that flat tone to it. And then that's what they did from then on. And sometimes you listen to it and you kind of go, grown men are singing like that.
When I was a kid,
down a bit. Like
when I was a kid, I thought that was a girl. I thought there was a female singing.
Yeah, it's really high.
It is.
There was a Twisted Sister one on Netflix. It was really surprising.
Was it good or just surprising what was in it?
I'm not the world's biggest Twisted Sister fan, but I was like, this sounds interesting. And it's amazing how, like, it was really about how Dee Snider came in and kind of kicked all their butts and really got them.
Yeah, he was a good band.
And he was like, yeah, we're going to be thrashy, crazy metal guys, but we're going to be good musicians first. Right.
Oh, nice.
And kind of really push them in that direction. And yeah.
Yeah, and also then visually, I mean, he was very savvy about how to market them. He made them into cartoons.
Yeah.
But that was the era of music videos, and they were huge a lot of the time because of their really popular cartoony music videos.
Interesting how they worked better on video than a band like Kiss, who I don't think Kiss ever was very comfortable on video. They never made sense. But Twisted Sister seemed to be a bit more designed.
They had a whole movie. Didn't they make a movie?
Oh, they did.
Are you getting sick again, Phil?
Even as a kid, I remember going, oh, I don't know, guys.
Oh, boy. The Kiss movie?
Michael, I wanted to ask you because most of our listeners don't realize that you actually are a film guy. You're a film director, and you've done lots of different kinds of films, like documentaries and
a lot of documentaries and a couple of dramas and some plays and things like that.
Does that ruin watching films for you?
Yeah.
Does knowing how the sausage is made? No, because it gives you more things to appreciate. I mean, does it, knowing about songwriting, being a trained musician, does that spoil listening to music?
It can, I think.
Sometimes it can, yeah.
Well, when I used to go see bands, no one wanted to go see bands with me because I'd be going, the bass player's not very good, and the drummer's not, doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I kind of do that too, and it spoils it for me in that sense,
Yeah, so I guess the idea with great art is you lose the knowledge of the creation process and just get lost in the moment. But,
yeah, exactly. It transcends the craft and becomes the art.
Yeah. Like I can't talk to the wife about music because it's like I'm sitting there analyzing everything and being lyrics this and melody that and why are they like the beats boring and whatever. And she's like, I can sing along to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I like noise, I like melody, I like production. Yeah. I'm not terribly picky about, precision and technique and things that trained musicians are. I have a friend who, is a good musician, and a lot of our friends in common are Toronto jazz musicians. And he and I occasionally find a bridge, but, he was listening, he listens to songs that have proficiency in them. I listen to songs that have passion and noise. And sometimes we meet. Yeah, I'm fortunate with music, but I don't find that with movies either. I mean, some movies, all you can see is the structure of it and how badly it's done or how badly the acting. But I think that's the deal. If you can see someone acting, then it's not good acting.
Yeah.
If you don't notice the acting, then it's
if it's too contrived. That's the same thing with songs. I mean, yeah, because if you get
catches
swept,
you and you like it, great.
Yeah, if you actually get swept up in the emotion of it, then you forget that you're a filmmaker, that you're a songwriter, and you just appreciate it for what it is, right? And that's always a good feeling.
Yeah. Exactly. But I've always done music as a kind of parallel, but it's been my hobby, whereas making visual work has been paying my bills.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Very
and
cool.
then there's a connection too with that, because you're making you commission music for the song, for the movies, or for the whatever you're doing, which is another interesting part. I remember doing a short, and when we got the score back, it was like you could see it more clearly, because it would underline moments. Like, there'd be a moment where a character receives information, but doesn't do it in any broad way. He just, like, his eyes just kind of narrow a bit or whatever, which without music you might miss. But then the score just underlined it a bit. Like the music tone changed from being kind of major key to introducing the minor version of it at that moment, and it just clearly helped you understand what was going on in that character's head. I just found that process to be fascinating. You weren't necessarily aware of the music, but it did make the pictures and the intent sharper.
That's when it's done well, too. I was watching, Heather and I were watching Elizabeth on Netflix, I think, on Saturday.
Is that with Kate Blanchett?
Kate Blanchett one?
I think so, yeah.
Or is that?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the music for that was just so overblown, and just it's terrible, because it overpowers it overpowers the visuals, and it just it becomes relentless, and it's like,
I haven't seen that movie for a long time, but I remember that movie. I remember the tone of that movie was it was all about richness and lush.
Yes.
It was just like, brimming.
I think it was done by an
stuff.
Indian director, right? Who had done some other, like he'd done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
I forget his name, but yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I hate it when you start paying attention to the music and you go, wow, this is really obnoxious.
Yeah, I've had movies ruined because of the music. Either music is bad or just too much. Even John Williams, who Spielberg is a big fan of, is a bit much.
Well, it's because it's a John Williams. You go see a John Williams movie, that's kind of the shtick.
Yeah.
That's kind of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, like you would want to hear him do like a nice little soft, folky thing. I mean, that's not why you go to see John Williams. You want the big bombastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually was watching a documentary series just because of the quality of the music. On I think on Korean, but I just love the music. It was it was sad, and it was just a masterful portrayal of this wonderful. It sounded new, but it wasn't overblown. It was a great piece of music. I wish I could figure out what the series was so I can listen to the music again.
Because sometimes it's the opposite. You do notice the music, but in a positive way. You just go, oh, that worked really well, or you got caught up in it. I watched Black Hawk Down, and there was a part of the film scored to this. He died a little while. Tahar, I think his name is. He's an Algerian musician, and it was almost like this heavy metal kind of, but all in Arabic tones, and it was just great. So I went out and bought his album because I just loved that song so much. And it didn't distract me from the movie. It just felt very good in the movie, but I just, I love that.
If anything, that's my songwriting tip, is investigate the nuances of the emotions behind music and behind chord choices. A lot of singer-songwriters put a lot of their weight for the emotions in the lyrics, but like you're saying, Mike, like that pivot in the character's point of view or whatever they're experiencing, and it's just underscored by a certain kind of musical shift. It's a really, really powerful thing, and it often gets overlooked, or there's missed opportunities for that in a lot of songs.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like you write the song in a G and a C and a D, use a capo, move it up, try it in a different tone and see if, because just moving it up, like the same chords arrangement, progression, will sound markedly different as you transpose it.
Yeah. Or non-diatonic.
That's true.
I don't know what you mean.
So diatonic, you might have to clarify this for me, Phil, if I get it wrong. Diatonic is like all the white keys, like that's all like going up and down the major scale, right? And all your chord choices are there. But as soon as you start putting in what they call accidentals, notes that don't belong in the scale, that's when things start getting interesting. And you start borrowing from other keys.
I was talking about writing on a guitar, but is that sort of the same thing as you go up, even if you keep the same chord shapes, if you go up the neck, you're going to find some accidents?
You might find a different tone, but in ways no, but if you play the same chords and the same shapes, just capo up, you're still playing the same progression ostensibly. It's just in a different key. So, but the magic comes in the relative relationships within that,
because each key sounds different. Each key has a different sound.
Each key does sound different. But if you're playing a 1-4-5 in C, and then you play a 1-4-5 in F, it's still a 1-4-5.
It's still 1-4-5, but they do sound different.
They do sound different. But what I'm arguing for is going away from those standard. The 1-4-5
right.
puts you through all the major scale notes. Yeah. But try, like you say, borrowing the minor from another key, borrowing something from a different key, that sort of thing can, in terms of the emotional quality of the song and emotional quality of the music. I find artists like bands like Crowded House, for example, they always have these like magical moments where there's a definite chord change and it's something that's out of the key or something like that, and it's just like this amazing drop or amazing kind of thing, and it extends what the lyric does and what the melody does and everything like that. Like it's it can be a powerful thing.
Very much so. In the news, I don't know if you guys got this. So The Simpsons on the weekend did an episode, Panic in Springfield. I think that's the title. Anyway, there was a character but really based on Morrisey and the Smiths.
Oh, really?
And now Morrisey, the person, has said some pretty borderline racist things, and he's a curmudgeonly guy. He's very... and when you go back to some of the lyrics, they weren't that nice anyway. So The Simpsons portray the end of career Morrisey as a fat, a rude meat eater, because he said foreigners brought vegetarianism to Earth, or something like that. Anyway, so I saw a little clip of it. It looked very funny. But Morrisey has responded by saying how unfair that was to portray him thusly as a curmudgeonly, bigoted person, which is kind of what he is. So a lot of the newspapers, and especially the music magazines, are having fun with him today with that.
It's like, can you say satire? Like,
laugh at yourself.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be unfair.
You have been, like, the whole episode is based on you, my man. Be flattered.
Yeah, laugh at yourself. It saves God the trouble. Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
It's just faster.
Yeah, it's just.
And that's it in music news today. And that, and Jim Steinman, the producer and I think writer of Bat Out of Hell, one of the biggest albums of its time.
That's right.
Passed away.
And an album my friends used to play all the time that I hated with a fiery passion.
People either loved it or hated it. I got the impression more people hated it, but it was on the radio.
Oh, people loved it.
Huge hits for a long time.
Anything for love.
I remember when I was working at Much Music and Meatloaf came in, and it was a fun place to work. But I was working overnight and I had a job to do, and they pushed all the desks out of the way so he could perform, and I couldn't get at the music library because all the desks were in the way. So at that time, I was not happy with Meatloaf. So.
Meatball was that's what it was. We just started out. It was just Meatball,
then he used to be partnered with Spaghetti, but they broke up.
He was in Fight Club. He was really good in that.
Yeah.
He's been in other movies too.
He's a very talented guy. I just didn't like the songs.
Yeah, it's very over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
but I think that was it. I mean, it stood out. And talk about, and to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, long songs. These are pop songs, and they were like 5 and 6 minutes long.
That's true.
They were epic.
Maybe I'm doing my own Bat Out of Hell.
That's what you're doing.
I think I hear
the band.
I think you're right. I think that is all the time we have tonight on Song Talk Radio. So thank you, everyone, for joining us as we followed a long and winding road through the show today. Send us your impressions of the show or whatever's on your mind to us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Send it to @songtalkradio or send us an email to feedback@songtalk.ca. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes. And so that's right. So that's at songtalk.ca. And subscribe to the Song Talk Radio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher.com, Spotify, or Podcast Addict, or wherever the hell you get your podcasts. And you can sign up for a free newsletter on songtalk.ca. And that's where you'll also find all the books and products and web services and tangents that we go on. They will be featured also on the website at songtalk.ca. Coming up soon, we have another Song Talk meetup, and you can find out about where and when that is. Well, where is virtual. It's on the internet. But how you join us, you can find out by going to meetup.com or by going to songtalk.ca. So that's, I think we've made our point. Where we want you to go to is the website, songtalk.ca. And if you don't want to go there, but you still want to find out about Neel, where would they find more about you?
NeelModi.com.
NeelModi.com. And Phil,
on which I have a link to songtalk.ca.
And Phil, how about you?
Road.
PhilEmery.ca.
Excellent. So when you get all these songs finally produced, that might be a way to find them. As for me, you can see some pretty pictures on Instagram. That's Proudfoot420. That's it. That's all I'm allowing at the moment. So did we mention dropping by the website at songtalk.ca? I can't remember. You can browse past shows there too, and you can see how you could be a guest. Thank you, everyone, for sending your music into us, and we'll see you again soon. Keep on writing. Good night.
Perfect timing.
I did start in radio.
Very good.
That was good.
Yeah. Interesting show, I think.
Yeah. He's going to ramble on for 40 minutes about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something. I mean, I guess, script would have made it in order so that important things would come later or whatever. But other than that, yeah. Turns out we can just talk about songwriting and fill an hour. Good to know.
It's true. We've had to do this on the odd occasion. It's like it's never a problem.
No. Look, there's always something going on. There's something in the news, and and I still have 50 songwriting tips on my phone if we ever need to just pull up something.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's always a good thing. Yeah. A good point of discussion, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Some
arguing points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I forgot last week when we were talking about DAWs. What I really like it for is to do harmonies, because I mostly am a solo performer, so I don't get a chance to do that. But once I start recording, then I can layer harmonies on, and it's a whole other thing to play with. And it sure changes the nature of a song, the harmonies.
It's huge, actually, and I think a lot of people forget about it because it just adds a little pickups and energy. I mean, the obvious is, doing stuff on the chorus, but doing little bits at the end of the verses or to highlight little, keywords and things.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, one more thing about the Hollies. The drummer, he's not particularly great, but it sort of reminded me of Pete Thomas from Elvis Costello. He just hits so hard and is so precise. And there was something about the songwriting, and I go, man, no one gives that, like, I'm hearing Elvis Costello in it. It's like I'd heard all these songs before, but I'd never really listened to them with a songwriter's ear. And my God, aside from some of the lyrics being a little weird, the songs themselves are just fantastic. They're really melodic and really good changes and things like that.
Well, they were also, in the golden age of pop
What
music.
year was that they were like really big?
When the 60s was when they started, like
okay.
66, 67. Like their tail end of the next, they were a lot, part of the British invasion.
So they were competing with
later
the Beatles.
than the Beatles.
Yeah.
And then Graham Nash, Crosby, Stills, Nash, and sometimes Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was part of the Hollies.
Oh, okay.
And they were a very pop band, and some of their stuff is kind of crappy. Like they would just, they were kind of wearing suits and singing. And I think he got a bit fed up with that. And so he left. But then after he left, one of the things I found interesting was they brought in a lead guitarist, Tony Hicks, I think his name is. And from like when he was 19, he was making inroads. He was going to music publishers and finding songs for them to sing, like really early on. And so a lot of the songs, like I don't know the percentage, 50-50, they wrote or they bought. Like The Air That I Breathe, he just went out and found that. And a couple of other big hits. Wow. And the production on like Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress.
Oh, what a great song.
Yeah. Though you listen to it, it's repetitive compared to some of the others. Like some of the others have amazing bridges and lifting choruses. Like check out Carousel. It's just a great harmonies and a really neat structured song. Like it just keeps building. And there's one, I think it's the pre-chorus, where the melody line is a descending one, but as the pre-chorus progresses, each line goes up. So it's the line itself is going down, but it's going up in pitch till it hits the end.
Oh, cool.
Which just dishes up the chorus perfectly.
Neat.
Anyway,
I'll have to check it out.
yeah, it's a fun thing to rediscover songs that are in the back of your head, and then you go, "Oh my God, I've never listened to that." Oh, the reason is I got a new receiver, so now I can go optic out of my computer into my surround sound. So now
nice.
I can play music clearer and louder. And I figured out it has a DAC in it, a digital audio converter. So it actually makes MP3s sound like music, which is nice.
Nice. That's great.
Always a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's every now and then it's nice to actually sit down and just listen to music. Like normally we have these things in our ears when we're doing chores or but to actually sit down and just listen to music, you don't get a chance to do that very often.
That's true.
It's nice.
Not as much as we used to, for sure.
I've been doing that a bit more, actually. I mean, that's one of the things that Laura and I do is like on the weekends, we'll have a glass of wine or two and just sit and listen to music.
Nice.
Like nothing else, not distracted by anything else,
That's cool.
But just been, that's where the McCartney album is great. Oh, there's a McCartney 3 reimagined, where he does it like it's the original, and then there's covers all the way through the album. Not really great. Interesting artists like St. Vincent and Beck and Josh Homme and Anderson .Paak covers a song, but he only drums on it. He doesn't sing on it. I love the guy's voice. I felt very disappointed at that.
Odd.
But it's on Spotify and all these free places now.
All those places.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Anyway, so
All right.
we will talk on Thursday.
Sure.
Yep.
What's our show next week? It's the
Eric Alper.
non-fungible taffy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Funky
yeah.
Taffy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Thursday I have something at 5:15. So so I'm basically done at 6:30. So maybe we can do it after that, or
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll do it 6:30 or 7 or 1:45.
sure, if that's okay with you.
What
I'll
time
stand
then?
by, and if you want to just WhatsApp us, and we
Okay.
can give us like 5 minutes heads up.
Yeah.
Would that be all
I'm
right?
free
Neil?
all evening, so whatever.
Okay, that'd be good.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome sauce. Well, I'm actually feeling better than I did when we started the show. So
Good.
Well, that's because Neil and I bring a lot of life and joy into
right.
you do.
people's lives.
It's your,
Community.
it's true.
Yeah. And it's music. Oh, man, it got dark.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching the background kind of fade. You turn more into a Rembrandt painting.
I closed the blind before we started because it was too much light on my face on the side.
And it's going to snow tonight.
Yeah. Everyone working from home tomorrow?
Yep.
I have a doctor's appointment first thing.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
I have a doctor's appointment while it's snowing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fun.
Typical. But
so do you have to go there?
Yeah. I'm having an electromagnetic imaging done.
A lot of doctor appointments are virtual these days. So.
I'm sorry?
Well, I'm saying a lot of doctor appointments are virtual these days.
Yeah. Well, they haven't been able to fix it. And so, they're going to put electrodes in and see what the problem is.
You got a problem with your arm?
I've got tennis elbow, but I've also got numbness in my fingers. So.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so from now on, I have an excuse as to why I'm such a shitty guitar player.
Well, apparently, the reason Joni Mitchell got into open tunings is because she has a very weak left hand because of polio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just found that
I did
out.
not know that.
Interesting. Limitations make for good.
Yeah, exactly.
Very eloquently said.
Thank you. Like, what's the opposite of limitations? I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Freedom, I suppose.
I suppose.
All right. Good show, gents.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
Right, we'll talk on Thursday.
Like 2:45 or 7 o'clock on Thursday.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.
All
Good night,
right, guys. Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right.